Hello, reporting live from my favorite oasis in Bangkok. I am here in Benjakiti Park. Do y'all see how beautiful? This is Bangkok, y'all. So, this is one of my favorite parks out here. And essentially, if you see here, the sun is actually setting over there, but the sunset is all of the hues you can see back there. The beautiful fountain. People are taking their graduation pictures down there. There was another group of grads taking their graduation pics over there. And then there's just like so many people running. Like the fact that this is what a Sunday afternoon at 6:30 p.m. looks like. And I've been doing a lot of reflecting. I just can't get out of this. This is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Uh, I don't want to end this to take a picture, so I won't. But just know I was coming on here today, one, because I realized that there are a lot more. I think our community has grown 4x over the past 3 weeks or so. And so at this point, I'm like, we are definitely due for a reintroduction. And I was on a walk. I just can't get over this. I was doing a lot of reflecting this weekend, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just share some of the things that have come to mind. So I'm really torn. Should we just let's walk a little bit, and then I wanted to just share one of my favorite parts of this park because it is massive. So just this loop around here, like just this loop is a little over a mile, if I remember correctly. So I usually do like two or three of these loops for a 30-minute workout. I think it's like a mile and a half. Anywho, they had the High Rocks Bangkok um, race at, I think I can flip this screen, period. They had the High Rocks Bangkok race right there at that convention center this weekend. So I'm sure a lot of people here are coming from that situation. But this is typically like in the afternoon, evening time, like when the sun has gone down and it's just a bit cooler. This is this is the active people of Bangkok. So, anywho, a bit of a introduction, and just wanted to share a bit about my journey and like how we got here. I've shared some when it comes to, getting the offer and all of that jazz, but as I reflect over, like, honestly, since like 2017 when I graduated uh, college, okay, backspace, since 2013 when I graduated high school, I've always there have been like so many decisions I have made that don't look good on paper. They don't look good on paper at all, but they are decisions that I had deep conviction around, and decisions that have also directly contributed to this life that we get to live now, where like this is the backdrop of a Sunday afternoon stroll. So back in high school, I was studious. I had a phenomenal GPA, one that would have allowed me to essentially, okay, there's people here. Hi, y'all. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I'm giving just a bit of a, how should I say, origin story of my chaotic life decisions that have led to us being out here in Bangkok. So in high school, I had a PhD. That's my husband. I had a GPA that would have would have allowed me to go to just about any school in Georgia for free when it comes to like colleges. But on paper, that would have been the smart thing to do because I wouldn't have had to come out of school with any student student loan debt. But in Brienne's mind, I gotta definitely like give my parents credit for this. But in my mind, I'm like, you know what? If the opportunity is there, and if I get into these schools that allow me to explore and experience life outside of Georgia, I'm gonna take it. So instead of going to college for free, I decided to go to University of Maryland. Another one there where it's just like, where'd you come from? But this is Bangkok. Like almost every turn, it's just like, wow, this is so cool. So anywho, so instead of going to school for free, I went to University of Maryland, paid out of state tuition, had about $40,000 in student loan debt when I graduated. But guess what? God made a way for that to be paid off in my 20s. So this is another part of the Benjakiti Park. Tons of runners. This connects to Lumpini Park. I'm not going to go all the way out there today because we are short on we are short on sunlight. So let's not play that game. Anywho, so I go to school out of state, but that experience afforded me so much. Paid off a student loan debt um, in what, 10 years? And one of the big components of my 20s and especially in college was actually interning abroad. So I both interned abroad and I studied abroad. I interned abroad in Dubai, and that in and of itself was an eye-opening experience. I have to show this really quick. The ADHD in me is like squirrel, but it's a beautiful lane, trail, I should say. So, anyways, I interned in Dubai, got that international experience, had a phenomenal time, learned so much about. Yes, it was absolutely worth it. It was absolutely worth it. I think that my experience at Maryland, um, obviously, like I was speaking to the study abroad and the interning abroad that I got to do. Those both changed my life. I also met my husband at University of Maryland, so no brain. That was worth it. And yeah, I mean the debt payoff. I actually got a ton of scholarships, so to be doing out of state tuition and leaving with only 40K student loan debt, like the math for me, the ROI. Left college, having a big tech job, and yeah, it just I don't regret any of it. So definitely worth. So yes, interning in Dubai was great. I also studied abroad in Sydney, Australia. I had a minor in international business. I don't remember the name of the minor to be honest. I think there was an engineering word in there, so maybe international engineering business leadership or something. Um, Another squirrel moment. This is one of the bridges that connects the park. It is so pretty. Under here, let me see if I can see any of it. Uh, can't see it too much, but there's a whole bunch of like lotus. Nah, you can't see that here. More people graduating. Oh, it's so beautiful. Um, yeah, so had the study abroad time in Sydney, Australia. Incredible experience. Learned a ton about international business and engineering leadership. And then it came time to graduate. And I remember I my last internship, I interned at Boeing in Seattle, and that internship taught me everything that I did not want when it came to signing up for um, a tech. I mean, sorry, a corporate job. I knew I did not want to be in an old, stuffy, white, male dominated company. The spade. I it was just not going to work for me. And so I remember I was interning out there, and all of my friends at Microsoft, like, they were actually loving their internships. They were also speaking to how amazing the culture was. Oh no, we're just walked off. Rats. Okay, you turn. They were also speaking to how amazing the culture was, how they were, could work from home certain days, and they didn't have to like clock every single hour when they came in and left out from the office. And I'm just like, dang, that's different. And the more research I did on Microsoft, I was like, wait, I think I actually instead of becoming an engineer, I think I actually want to help hire engineers. Quick pause again. This is one of the many views of the Bangkok skyline. But like to have this quiet oasis in the middle of the one of the biggest and busiest cities in the world is nothing short of a dream. Like, y'all, this is Bangkok. I'm also saying that for myself because I'm like, girl, you live here. It's mind blowing. So yes, I remember the mindset shift from wanting to be an engineer because I had a degree in fire protection engineering, shifting that to actually wanting to hire engineers. And in that hiring engineers, specific intentionality around increasing diversity within engineering and tech. So I made that known. I told my friend, I was like, honestly, he asked, he was like, how is your internship going? I was like, it's going, but if they extend a return offer, I'm not accepting. I'm not signing up for that life. And so I was like, but I have heard really good things about Microsoft. And he also had worked at Microsoft at the time. And so he was like, oh well, um, if you're interested in Microsoft, one of your sorors is one of the lead university recruiters. You should reach out to her, and she's going to be at some some Delta happy hour tomorrow. You should go. I'm like, oh, period. Um, yeah, there's tons of opportunities to use your degree abroad, just like how you can use it in the US. I will say a big component of the working abroad side of things is honestly having the work experience. I know in Thailand, there they actually have a lot of stipulations around years of experience, type of work you did, and whether it actually aligns with the role that you are getting hired for. So do your research, but it's definitely possible. And I hope that I am an example of the fact that it can be done. So going back to just talking about like putting your intentions and your desires out there. So I told my friend interested in Microsoft. He was simple. He was like, "Yeah, you should reach out to so and so. Like, she's you're great. Like, because we had connected over the summer. He was like, you're great. She's great, and just like let her know and see what she can do." One thing led to the next, and I got offer at Microsoft to be a part of their HR rotational program. Now, going back to my actual major, I had a major in engineering. Engineering historically pays very well. I come from immigrant parents, and a big a big part of like when it comes to immigrant parents, especially from the Caribbean, Africa, all that jazz. You have engineer, doctor, lawyer. I don't read fast enough, don't enjoy reading enough to be a lawyer. Can't take blood or any of the bodily stuff enough to be a doctor. So this is why I had landed on engineering. And I did have several family members who were like, you did all this work. Look at the background. You did all this work to get this engineering degree and you're about to go into HR. But honestly, like I have always, when I look back, I have always been very intentional in when it comes to listening to myself, my body, the Lord, like the convictions I have internally. It made no sense engineering to HR, but I knew as for me, it was perfectly aligned. I was always the only Black woman. I was the only Black woman in my graduating class for my degree. I was the only Black woman in every single internship I did for my team. And even in school, I had always desired to help Black people, Latinos, um, get into these engineering programs. And so to take it a step further and have a chance to shape the future, yeah, thank you, to shape the future of what the tech, like what engineers and product managers and all that, like what tech could look like, that was so exciting to me. And so I took it. And I think it wasn't until I actually got my offer numbers and I was sharing with my family members, like, no, like I'm actually making more than what they would have offered me with my engineering degree. And I think at that point they were like, all right, the math is mapping. But yeah, that was a really big inflection point where I went completely outside of the norm. Everyone else in my major went into their engineering um, careers. I said, no, thank you, but I'm gonna help these people out. And loved it. Loved, I didn't love living in Seattle, let me not fib. I loved how fulfilling and purposeful my work felt. Going back to not enjoying Seattle, oh wow, there's this part I've never seen before. Again, the amount of times I say wow throughout the day, even though she's not a tourist, she lives here, but it's still just like constant plot twists. Oh shoot, I got to get back on the trail so y'all can actually see me. But check this out. It's like an amphitheater. This is so cool. So many people gathering. Wow, this is so cool. I would stay here and just record, but I need to get I need to get back to the light source and back to heading home. Okay, so yes, going back to what I mentioned around knowing that I listen to my heart. I I know my values. I know what purpose feels like, and it's always like that is always a focal point. Purpose and values always a focal point in my decisions. So year two comes around in Seattle. As I mentioned earlier, Darian and I met at school at UMB. We started dating about a year before I moved to Seattle. And we're in year two of our relationship at this point. I've been living in Seattle. Sorry. I've been living in Seattle for a year. And Darian got into a PhD program in Raleigh. So at this point, we're even further away from each other because Raleigh is south of Maryland. And so I just remember partially because of the long distance. Long distance was hard, but also I just did not love Seattle. So I remember being like, okay, I'm going to do one more year out here, enjoy the benefits and the perks of headquarters, and I will find my way back to the East Coast, see my man, to live with my man, not just see him. So year two of Microsoft rolls around, and um, I sign my last lease, right? And I remember saying to myself, like, I'm going into year three of my leases. And I remember saying to myself, I'm not going to um, get another lease out here. Like this third one, we done. So long story short, y'all, I did what I said I would never do. I moved across the country for a man who I was not married to, a man who had not put a ring on my finger. He sold another angle of our beautiful skyline. Yes. Um, so I live across the country from this man. I already knew I wasn't going to be living in Raleigh. I knew I wasn't going to be living in Seattle much longer because internally I was like, mm-mm. So between cost of living being significantly lower, also being able to actually do life with each other and not just have like these, monthly link ups. And then the third thing was that I would be closer to family. So my family is mostly split between New York, DC, like DMV area, and Atlanta. So, oh yeah, the long distance. It's no joke. The warriors out here who make it through long distance can make it through just about anything. So shout out to you and your partner for pushing through that trial and tribulation. So I remember being like, you know what? I'm going to be close to family. I'm going to have a lower cost of living. I'm going to be with my man. It'll be fine. On paper, she's crazy for that decision. Like, she's crazy. But it just made sense. And what is wild is that I actually bought the house March 2020, right when the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, the interest rates were at all-time lows. I literally had a 2.5% interest rate, unheard of. And I just remember like there were just so many elements of confirmation from God where it was like, no, I'm on the right track. Like, this is the way. And got a beautiful, brand new house, low interest rate. Mortgage was lower than what I was paying for rent back in Seattle. And we made some beautiful, like phenomenal memories together in that home. And I don't regret buying that house one bit. Just like how I didn't regret going to UMD, just like how I didn't regret going into HR after getting my engineering degree. And now we're at the point, 8 years, 8.5 years into my career, and I'm itching for something new. I'm also a bit fed up with how things are panning out in the US. And I've had multiple discussions with my family, with my husband around like, hey, would you entertain the idea of moving abroad? And lo and behold, just like how when I was interning at Boeing and when I told my friend that I wanted to get into Microsoft. And it wasn't even like, hey, I'm saying this because I want you to do something. Like it was literally just expressing what was on my heart and like what my desires were. Similar to that, November of last year, I came out to Thailand for a retreat, for a boot camp, and for my 31st birthday. And on the very last day of that trip, I connected with one of my friends from Microsoft. And yes, God saw us through that long distance too. Yeah, so I saw a friend, one of my friends from Microsoft, and we linked up. Um, we did happy hour together. I'm gonna just go in this little cove of light real quick and finish this out with y'all. Um, so, oh, that was a bug. That's one thing out here. There's a lot of bugs. Okay, maybe we're gonna keep walking because oh, I don't like bugs. Okay, so we're at happy hour. We're talking, and before we went to happy hour, she actually um, took me up to the Microsoft office here in Bangkok. And I remember it was on like 34th floor or something like that. And I remember, I vividly remember looking out and I see like this park that we're in now, the one that it's connected to. Like I remember seeing that. I remember seeing the billboards. It felt like I was legit like in Times Square. And I was like, it must be so. I remember I said, it must be so dope being able to look out of your office building and seeing this view. And at that point, she was like, wait, you would actually consider moving out here to Bangkok? And again, like it's something that my husband and I had talked about. I talked about it with my family, but it was more so like, that would be so cool if we did XYZ. Like we hadn't actually, I hadn't applied to any jobs. I hadn't looked at any companies out here. Um, it was just sharing what's on my heart. And a week later, she sends me the job posting for the role that I currently have living out here in Bangkok. And let's just say this may have been the most nonlinear decision I made. 31, selling the house, selling the car, moving across the world, leaving our family and friends behind, going from big tech to a smaller company. Like on paper, she's crazy. But in real life, it's like this is just how my life has unfolded. And every single one of these inflection points where I had to make a decision similar to this one, too dark, everything worked out. Like, so if I know that consistently everything has worked out, if I know if I know what that tug feels like internally to move on, to pivot, to move, and if I also know the piece on the other side once everything is said and done with the transition, and if I also know that the same God who created all of this, like I didn't even get to show you all the lotus ponds and like many of the other flowers, and I didn't get like yeah, there's so much I didn't get to show y'all. But like if the same God that created all of this also created me and is within me, like who am I to doubt, to let fear, to let other people's opinions sway me? And I think this is where like maturity and your faith comes in because when you have this level of conviction and discernment after making decisions time and time again that you got only from God and that don't make sense to other people, you start to, especially in the uncomfortable, like especially with stuff that doesn't make sense, like you start to just, how do I say this? You just learn to trust his plan. And yes, you have to have tough conversations with people that it impacts. And yes, you know, there's a lot of letting go that takes place in the pivots, in the transitions, in the messy middle, like in the in between. But like on the other side, like this is probably one of the most magical afternoon or like evening strolls I've had in a long time. Like I kid you not, I've been in this park at least 15 to 20 times now. And I wasn't acting, like I genuinely was in shock. looking at the sunset and watching like as the hues shifted and being able to view the skyline from this angle. Like I haven't come out here this late, but it's like if you're over here asking God, like, God, show me how good it can really get, you gonna have to it requires you to actually trust him, one, and it requires you to also be willing to make very uncomfortable decisions. Like you can't expect to live a life you've never dreamed of or found. So yeah, this chapter is very exciting, and I'm grateful to God first and foremost for carving out a life like this for us to live. I'm also grateful to my husband for being with my crazy self and like dropping everything honestly that he worked towards in the US to support my dreams. Is crazy because like I moved across the country to support him, like in support of him, yes, but also for us to live together. And now we're at a point where he moved across the world with me to support my dreams. And for us to obviously not be long distance around the world. Can you imagine? Oh my God. That sounds like a prison sentence. But yes, this is a little bit more about me and how we got here and maybe a glimpse behind the crazy of how the heck and why the heck did you move all the way to Bangkok? Um, we're here for we're here for whatever lessons it is that God has. Oh, thank you. This reminds me of my son. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the love. But yeah, no, we're out here, one, in obedience. Like the fact that the only job that I applied for out here is the one that I got. And there's so many elements of the behind the scenes that you all will see in the Dixon Diary episodes that come out, but there were so many like winks. There were so many reminders from God that we were on the right path and that we were actually in alignment, like walking in alignment with His plan for us. So it's an adventure. I think we definitely experienced a lot of the hard that comes with the adventure, being those first couple of months in the transition. But now it's like we have capacity to go out and like y'all, people are out here like this path is so full of just like the people are living and I live for this. I love this. So yeah. We were at a point in Raleigh anyways where we knew that our time had come. Oh yay. Very exciting. Congratulations. The first few months will be challenging. Well, let me not speak my situation onto you. You may experience some challenges the first few months, but just know that God didn't bring you this far just to be stressed and worried and just in the midst of figuring things out daily. But but yeah, the adventure, it's exciting. Like now we have capacity to have evening strolls like this. And last week we went to a floating market. The week before we went to a cooking class. Next week we're going to the beach. This weekend coming up we're going to the beach. So there's just like there's so much to do out here. And we knew that our time in Raleigh had come to an end. But now it's almost as if our lives are so much more um, elevated in a way where it's like truly like wholeheartedly feeling alive versus just existing. It's something that's pretty hard to explain. But I'm going to figure out my way back home. Um, yeah, it's time for us to head back home and some lights. Period. Hey, I should have brought maybe I should have brought a what you call it, like one of those handheld ring lights or something. I'm gonna head back home. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll try to come earlier in the afternoon next time. Thankfully, the sun is It's not as hot as it was during our very first video that we did out here in Benjaquiti. So maybe I can try to come out around like 5:30 ish so that we can enjoy a bit more of the park together before it gets dark. But look out for quite a few behind the scenes videos coming um, from the lead up to us actually getting out here in Thailand. Darian has been doing a phenomenal job of getting those edited, and I look forward to you all just seeing a bit more of the journey. But yeah, that'll be the bulk of the videos this week, and I'll probably do a few facing camera ones as well, just giving updates on things. But if you all have anything specific that you want me or Darian to go deeper on, let me know and we can make it work. But I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and we will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.